What's going on, fellow gamers? My name is Killer Whisk, and we here Outlandish for episode, I don't even know what number it is, but you're going to see it on the title. And usually it's two topics, and the topics that I was debating within the week chimes into the conferences. So it doesn't make sense for me to start talking about a certain topic that I feel as though... Not yet, yeah. Exactly. The most pet peeve is the Microsoft released a PR stating that, just consumers is just going to figure it out of which one is what. That's so fucking ignorant. But I'm not going to... Just check out the Microsoft post video for our E3 coverage. We go from there, but he's got a topic that we're going to discuss. We're going to try to keep it very brief, but it's about long development, some successful and some downright terrible
development times on certain games, because it's, for what I think is, there's certain games that obviously like the Call of Duties, the Maddens and all that,
yearly basis
take
or
bi-yearly, whatever, that comes out quick, and some of them are good, some of them are but for the most time they're good. But then there are games that do take a long time to make,
which sucks. It's like waiting.
It takes between 5-10 years, some even more. We'll get into those later.
Yeah.
For example,
wasn't Diablo one of them?
Diablo 3 one of them.
Let me get that. Let me talk about that.
Yeah, because
I don't really talk
originally, because that originally started development in 2001.
And that was 2001, and everybody was addicted to Diablo 2.
Yeah, that's why everyone was playing that game. I remember that.
It took 2 little leaks of them developing it, hype for 4 to 5 years, and then people just gave up on it. So they finally realized, oh look, Diablo 3,
which was announced around 2008 that they're actually working on it. That we know that they're working on it, and then it finally released when 2012, right?
It halted because consoles were. I think what it was is when they finally released Diablo 3, they wanted to pitch it towards consoles as well. PS4
I know
made
you were a huge fan of the game when that first came out. I know you loved that.
I don't
know
the whole entire
PS3,
backstory, but I did get it for the PS3, and I got it for the PS4 too. I think, yeah.
I did it come up for the PS3?
Did I get? No, it wasn't PS3.
No,
it was PS4. It was PS4.
I thought you got it for the PS3.
No, I got it for the PS4 because I actually remember downloading it and I had it removed from the data because I had to save some data. Anywho, yes, and because it was easier on the PlayStation 4, very accessible, and kind of simple versus getting a high-end PC, which I didn't have. Yeah. So it was very accessible. That's probably the only time that I remember that took so long, but it was great.
Yeah, it was a good game, but it just took forever to come out. And then there's, of course, the Final Fantasy series. Before then, it wasn't that long of a turnaround date. It was between 1 year, 2 year, at most 3 years. Then once 13 come. 12 took about 5 years to just make.
Jeez.
Which was
I wasn't even a fan
of that. It was
originally,
I know. It's originally what happened was, as soon as Final Fantasy 10 was made, the year after that, that's when they started working on 12. Even though I know 11 came out, but that was more of an MMORPG, which was worked by another team. Yeah. They were kind of focusing on that. So this was the first, single player Final Fantasy. Which, it wasn't the best of the series. I will admit that. It was okay, but it
was a dry World of Warcraft.
But yeah, it just kept getting delayed, and then it finally was released in 2006 toward the end cycle of the PS2. It was one of the last games that came out for the PS2.
Which I guess makes sense to go out with a bang for PS2.
Exactly.
Get some more sales, but I didn't think it did well.
Yeah, it was okay. It didn't sell the best, but it didn't sell the worst either.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy 13, which decided to come out much in a late time too, because it started making around 2007. They started making it, and they started it was going to come out for the PS3, of course. Then that game finally came out. It was a 4-year development cycle, so it came out in 2010. I remember because I was working at GameStop at the time when I was working on midnight release of that one. So, and that one was good. I won't say great, but it was good. The sequels after that, which came out at a yearly basis after that, was... But the main one was actually pretty good. Then, of course, they made 14, which was an MMORPG, which that's kind of more of a separate team also.
I like it. Just get rid of the subscription, then I'm all day. Then I could use my Vita. For those who don't know, it's a PS Vita. So sad.
Yes.
Anywho. Maybe that might be my next topic.
That could be.
Sad companies going for broke. And PS Vita is one of them.
It was a great system, but yeah. Anyway, we'll go into another topic. For 15, what happened was the original game was actually started being made around 2000, like 6, 7 around there.
Jesus.
Because originally it was going to be a side story for Final Fantasy 13. It was actually Final Fantasy 13 Versus. You know, had that. Remember that trailer they showed back in the day? It was Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
And that never came about until...
And then it was like kept getting delayed. Then finally...
I thought that came out in Japan. And then the rest done.
Oh no!
Just got flanked.
It just kept getting delayed.
It's
and
terrible.
then years later, it finally was announced, but they decided to take the 13 part out of it and just make it into a full-fledged Final Fantasy 15 title. So they decided that, okay, we'll just make it to Final Fantasy 15, and instead of it coming to the PS3, we're just going to release it to the PS4, since the PS3 is pretty much already dead at that time and all that.
Don't say that. I like
Well,
the PS3.
I do too. No, I like my RPGs from that system. And then they finally released that. Thank God, when it finally was released November of last year, it was actually good. It took like 10 years.
It looks good too.
It took 10 years for that game to come out.
That's a risk.
10 years. Like, when a game that takes 10 years, the problem with that is the hype. You lose the hype because everyone was like, oh my god, I want to get this game.
Not to mention the market share. Like you got other games coming out, and then some totally new and innovative will come out of nowhere, and they already have this set schedule to release, and if this popular game is so epic, and now that game come out, it's terrible. And then it just falls right under the radar, right? It's swept right under the rug.
That's the thing with long titles, because there's actually a couple of examples of games that took like 10 years or more that just sucked.
DN, and can you say what DN is?
Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
You're one of the biggest offense of this. The last Duke Nukem game that came out before that game was
Hilarious.
1996. Hilarious. It was for the 64
Dirty.
and the PS1. I remember that.
Yep. Dirty.
Oh, it was dirty, hilarious. It was supposed to be just raunchy and outright just bad, but that's what it is. That's what that kind of character he is. So then they started making the Duke Nukem game. It just kept getting delayed. It was supposed to come out for the PS1 originally, then the PS2, and then it got canceled. And then the different developers decided to change it.
I think that's what it was. I think they canceled it, and then they're like, dude, somebody has to release that again.
And then they finally did. I think it was, if I remember, Gearbox. No.
Neversoft? No.
No. Gearbox.
Probably is Gearbox.
Yeah, I think it was Gearbox, if I remember correctly. And then, when the game finally was released in 2011, it had bugs all over. It's like, you're gonna have bugs, graphical issues. The game just sucked. It was not funny. It was not the Duke Nukem that we knew back in the day. Like, how you going to spend like 10 plus years?
Dumb
10 plus years. And still have so much bugs in that game. It's just, you don't do that. That's like, one of the things like...
It's like they were banking on the name, regardless of what they put out, which is totally disrespectful to the end consumer, and then a gamer, which obviously has the consumer, but... Judging on the customer service front, you know, you're getting a product that you know that you've been waiting for, all of a sudden you get it and you pay that full amount of money and that is ass trash. And they probably said, well, you know, we'll get it. It's Duke Nukem. It's Duke Nukem. It's Duke Nukem. They're going to sell it. It's going to make money. And I don't even think it made money.
It didn't.
Call of Duty can pull 3 blunders in 3 years straight, and they can be comfortable.
It didn't sell well because by the time when Duke Nukem finally came, the people who were fans of it were tired of waiting for it. And now plus the new gamers their age are not even of age to even play a game like that, or
they don't even know
who their character
They don't even know
is.
what Duke Nukem is, and the same people that don't even know what Conquer is.
Exactly. So how they thought they would do well was beyond my knowledge. It's like
the name.
It came out for the PS3 and I believe the 360, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And it just panned, and I think we're never going to see another Duke Nukem game ever again because.
But if we did, it has to be serious. It's got to be something like, oh, what the fuck?
I'm just not expecting. After such a disaster like that, it's probably not going to happen.
If a big studio that knows they can make it a cash cow but make it real serious, but keep it raunchy and straight, which would probably be either Activision or Respawn Entertainment, Infinity Ward, something that's conquering first-person shooters. If they get their hands on that and they will take that plunge, they get the money to sinkhole it. Why not? Just a last-ditch effort. That's my marketing prediction.
And then there's another game too that also failed too, and I actually played this and I was so disappointed. Too Human.
Oh yeah.
That was also another game that took 10 years in the process of making too. Originally, it was supposed to come out it came out in the late 90s as an E3 trailer. It was supposed to come out for the PS1. Then it was ported to the GameCube for some odd reason. It was supposed to come out for the GameCube.
Was ported to the GameCube. It's supposed to come out for the GameCube. Did it come out?
Did it come out? And then it just kept getting delayed. Then it finally came out for the Xbox 360. It was one of the earlier times.
In what year?
It came out in 2008, if I remember correctly.
God, dude.
So it was like almost 10 years.
The competition is over. Like, it would have been hot if it came out that time.
But the thing is, when it finally came out, same issues with Duke Nukem. Buggy as hell. Boring as hell. The story, the combat system, oh my god. It was supposed to be like a good third-person action with like sci-fi and Norse mythology into it.
Year 2000.
Type of yeah.
And
it was cool back then, but when it released, it was like,
so much, 2008, so much competition.
I remember critics hated it. I played it. I hated it.
It's unfortunate.
I was just like, no.
And all those people that sat down and developed and used the techniques, bless your hearts, bless your soul, bless your ambition.
Like, I understand, but
and then when that product comes in the end, you're like, what the fuck? And some of them probably said, fuck it, I'm done, I'm giving up. That shit's never gonna come out. Mm-hmm. Because those that develop it have a mindset. You know, some of them just do it to do it, and some of them have the energy and the ambition to finish this product, to know that if this product comes out now, it's gonna be hot. But once a company takes a toll and then starts pushing it back, all those developers are gonna be like, are you fucking shitting me? What the balls is this? I'm fucking done. And who knows, maybe you don't know what the turmoil is in the development boxes. That's what if I know that I'm doing something and I know, I want this and I'm gonna create this, I want this in 2008, then it comes out in 2013, I'm against my will, I'm done by 2010, I'm all set.
And then there's another one that was pretty kind of recent. Aliens, Covenant? No, not Covenant. Aliens. It was an Aliens game. Aliens Colonial. Oh. There it is. That was another one that was supposed to be made back in 2001, and then finally came out in 2012 after it was canceled, but then brought back again. And then it was released, and then that failed.
Again,
issues.
Hot in 2001.
It was issues with the bugginess, how boring it is. It was supposed to be similar to how the movies were, like, you know, the action-packed movies. It just failed on all its end.
So, there is good games that have long periods, but it seems to me that it has to be from a developer that has been making a lot of games versus a game that was thought about that wants to come back and then another studio grabs it. That's like if Atlas takes Final Fantasy.
Well, that's the thing what I'm worried about.
I would think that would be good.
Yeah, exactly. Because,
you know,
I don't want to say anything because I'm going to go back to this. So it's Square Enix and Kingdom Hearts 3. I have to go back to this. The original that shit better sequel be good. Game came out in 2006. I know you guys didn't start development until a couple of years after that. I'm just afraid. Please, please, please don't mess up. Be like Final Fantasy 15 and actually be good, and don't be like Too Human.
Here's what's probably going to kill everybody.
That's what
This better be a long-ass campaign. Long-ass story. Because if it's not, and you get it, and you beat it, and it's done, you're probably going to get a lot of people.
The over 10-year wait is crazy. It's like, and then thing like Last Guardian. Thank God that was actually pretty decent too. That took a while to come out. Also, originally was supposed to come out for the PS3, then came out for the PS4, and I'm happy that game did well too.
Glad that actually came out.
And then there's another one that I know that Xbox been working on, Platinum Games. I think you might know what I'm talking about. Scalebound.
Oh, Scalebound.
Was on a working. They canceled it though because they probably just kept working on it and just working on it, and then just they
I remember
canceled
that game.
it.
He had a nice personality.
Oh,
too.
that was great! Like Scalebound, it was like I saw the trailer of it.
Yeah.
That actually made me want to get an Xbox. That actually did, because it was actually one type of my game, and they
It's
canceled
fucking
it.
news to me.
Yeah, they canceled it. They canceled it a couple months ago. I remember that. They canceled it,
fucking
and
bullshit.
that was been working on it for a couple of years.
What's Platinum
now.
get?
Yeah, it was by Platinum Games. I remember that. So
Well,
they canceled
now I'm
that.
pissed because that actually now I'm remembering that
Yeah, remember?
It was like
it was Expo. It was actually
good.
Expo. It was like
It
my
looked
type of
good.
style, had action, all that type of stuff. Which
a funny,
was great.
a funny main character, energetic, ready to go.
And it was just like thing. So I'm hoping that with Kingdom Hearts and pretty much, just. I know I'm just a little guy compared to all these developers that are remaking and all that, but when you announce a game, my like how I see it is try not to announce it too early.
If it's more than 2 years, don't even try to announce it.
Because
Just
that's
say you have
going
a
to
codename
bring
new
the
title.
hype up, and then you're going to have to try to deliver it, and that, of course, causes delays because you want to make sure it gets better and better. And then, of course, you're going to take longer and longer to make it. And then that hype is going to go down. And then when the game finally gets released, the hype is not going to be there. Like, the game has to be either really good to save it, or if not, then you're going to...
And here's
It's
what
not
I
bad. It's
think.
not terrible.
I don't think it's mainly developers. I think it's whoever is the main person. Let's break it down in a business sense.
Yeah.
You got to look at the market. You got to look at the quarters, and you got to see how the company's performing. If that developer is under a company that's either suffering or is doing well, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an instance. Sony. Sony is now focusing more on the PlayStation brand because their TVs are not selling hot. They got out of the phone business. Done. They fucking got out of that shit. And Sony in the movies are decent, but they're focusing the whole Sony brand. Even the semi-coders for the cameras are being hot because of iPhones. Hence what I'm using to record. But shouts out to Sony because that's the actual camera. Anywho, but Sony's focusing on PlayStation. Now that's the same thing if a company, Activision, has so much studios that once this studio announces, hey, I got a great game, I think it's going to be great. Oh, all right. Let's see how your E3 presentation shows and see how the developers and the fans perceive it. And that's how their pressure is for the developers. That's
Which is completely understandable. I understand.
yeah, so
but,
that's why
know.
I would assume most of these studios tend to take so long because some of them just don't. They probably phased out.
For 10 years though? Some of
knows,
these games
man?
are 10 years.
Maybe they said we don't want to talk about your game until further notice, and when they get so successful, cash cows, they totally lose sight on that one idea. So now what happens? That's my assumption as to why.
Which makes sense. It makes sense. I understand. And then, of course, there is one. I just want to mention this one game. It's my last one. It's one of the games that I actually wanted to play. It's called Mother 3, which is kind of like the sequel to Earthbound. Originally, it was supposed to come out for the Nintendo 64. Then it never came out to the United States. And then it finally was released on the Game Boy Advance, Japan only. So they didn't release anything in America.
It's a sack
so
tap.
originally, and that was being made in the mid '90s, like during like the Ultra 64. It was originally supposed to come out for that. Remember that it was an extra port that it was Japan exclusive. They never came into America. It was supposed to come out for that. It was supposed to be 3D and everything. They were showing gameplay and everything. Then it got canned, and then it just stopped. Was not going to come out for the 64. And then they decided to release it for the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s for Japan only. They do have American fan dubs, which they release online and stuff, so you can play it in English. But they haven't released a full one, and that
That's
that got
annoying.
me sad too.
Region lock. So not only does it take a while, but now it's like, yeah, it takes a while for US. Japan, they can have it. That's fine.
But that's what things like that too. So that's why it's like, that's what my issue is with the development, which is what they call development hell, or that's what they call it. So that's my issue. That was my topic, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
And while he was talking about that, I have a great topic that I might be talking about next week. Because I'm going to do a little research because it just came out today. Or maybe yesterday, probably the report, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm talking about after the guy. This is going to be cool.
You'll find out.
So, Mass Syndicate Gaming, we are actually training every Sunday after 7. Most of my team are getting games, playing them. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, For Honor, Overwatch, and then me personally, Tekken 7 for the 2 days for July.
I just streamed a couple of times myself,
So it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We're going to see more live streams from all the team. We recruited 2 new people, so it's going to be great, fantastic. You're going to see a lot of tournament play. Matt Syndicate Gaming, Killer Whisk, Outlandish. Again, street gaming. It's coming. It's coming. Follow me on Amino, Facebook, Twitter, all fucking social media. Peace.
Take it.